So we are extremely fortunate and lucky to be alive in time of such massive abundance, massive wealth of information, of choices, and the really availability and accessibility of various methods of improving our health and transforming our consciousness. In the past, if you wanted to know something, maybe you'd call a friend, maybe you'd go to the doctor, maybe you'd go down to the library, maybe you'd go to your local school and ask someone there. And that was pretty much it. You might look in the encyclopedia, you might find a book in the library, but even that is going to be years and years outdated. Now you can go on the internet, PubMed, Google Scholar, Google, a myriad of other search engines, and find a wide variety of choices of information that you can then use to empower yourself and say, well, let me do this, let me do that, let me take this, let me take that. Yet the problem that I mentioned before is that because there's so much, it's really easy to get overwhelmed. It's really easy to be confused. It's really easy to just be like in kind of the state of mind, well, he says this, but he says that. Well, they said this, well, they said that. Well, I read this was good, but then this one said it was bad. Well, this one said it was good only in this instance for this person from this brand in this way, in this form. I don't know what to do. And then at the end of the day, we find ourselves sometimes even worse off than when we started because we have all this knowledge, we have all this information, and it kind of just goes back and forth like a game of Pong. The ball goes up here, and then it bounces down, and it hits back, and it goes back up, and really, nothing ever happens, and nothing really ever gets done. So really the problem is that abundance in that wealth can oftentimes be overwhelming because we need to empower ourselves and say, okay, well, there's all these different strategies, all these different paradigms. Well, what's right for me? So a good way to start doing that is to step back and just take a few minutes, get out a piece of paper and say, well, what are my top goals? What are my top priorities? What sounds good? What feels right for me? And what are the things that I need to take action on now to get the most results based on my goals? And then we have this set of framework, we have this target, then we can go out and say, okay, well, maybe I'll come to that later, maybe I'll check that out later, this doesn't really resonate, or okay, maybe this fits for this, maybe this fits for that. We start to build a real puzzle and a real solid foundation, a real solid blueprint for how everything can fit together. The main problem people face is, well, what do I do? I don't know what to do. I have all this information. And I can tell you from working with people consistently over the last 7 years, that's one of the major frustrations, the major stumbling blocks that I find with people is that, okay, I have all this information, I know all this, I know all that, what do I do? Like, how do I put this together? Or on the flip side, people are so educated, so informed that everything's bad, that everything's poison, or everything's some this and that, and in the end, we just don't know what to do. So again, all this build up, all this talk is basically, because we have all this wealth, because we have all this information, we need new strategies, we need new mindsets, we need new paradigms to be able to sort through and filter and organize the information. Kind of like if you walk into, let's say you have an office, and you walk in, there's just papers everywhere, it's just junk everywhere, and you walk in, you're like immediately stressed, you don't know what to do. But someone comes along who has a really simple filing system, they give you the filing system, they give you the cabinets, you put it all in there, you organize it, you maybe spent 30 minutes or an hour organizing it, but then the results you produce, the amount you're able to get done, is exponentially increased because you have that solid blueprint, you have that solid foundation or that organizational system. So similarly, what I've been working on a lot over the last year or so is what I've mentioned in previous videos, which is obviously the longevity blueprint. Basically what this is that filing system. It is that blueprint to be able to take all this information and sort it out and figure out, okay, this makes sense for me, this is applicable for me, this is not, this will be later, this is short term, this is medium term, this is long term. In other words, it's basically the filing system and the filing cabinet to be able to take all the things and organize it so that it's actually usable. Because information is one thing, but information digested and assimilated and applied is something totally different. In other words, information is great, information is empowering and it's fun and it's entertaining, but unless it's put in a way which is actually actionable, tangible, relatable, applicable, it's not really that valuable. Meaning you could go and spend the greatest money, all the money in the world buying the greatest superfoods and herbs, but if you don't actually take it, it's not really going to do anything for you. So for me, that's why I've worked really hard on creating the blueprint, first and foremost for myself, because being someone who researches a lot and has researched a lot, it can be very overwhelming. Because like, let's say you get really into herbs or supplements and you read there's like 30, 50 different herbs and supplements you could be taking that are amazing and beneficial. And it's really exciting because you say, oh, this herb does this herb does that, this supplement does this, wow, I want all of it. In reality, that can be a little bit much, it can be a little overwhelming, so we need to, okay, how do I integrate all of these things in a way that makes sense, in a way that is easy to do, in a way that's common sense and makes sense for me based on my goals? Because like we should all understand, we're all different, we're all individuals, so we have different goals, different priorities, different things which are higher priorities for us in this given moment. So again, that's why I've created the Longevity Blueprint. That's a little bit more about what it is. And if you want to check that out, which I highly recommend you do, registration closes in a couple of days, which is July 31st at midnight. So check the link below right here on this video to learn more about that, and I look forward to talking to you soon.